Hello everybody, today we're going to bring you our top 5 ball pythons from the Tinley Park NARBC show in October of 2023. As it has been with almost every one of these shows, there are so many good animals there, and there are obviously a ton of ball pythons that could make this list. My criteria and rules for this little top 5 remains the same. It's based mostly on my own preference, but also on some rarity in there as well, or something that is what I consider to be a milestone. So with that being said, let's just get right into it, right? At number 5 would be the Shrapnel Mahogany Pastel Spot Nose Clown from CD Constrictors. This is in shed. You can see from the eyes here, they are a little cloudy. I saw a lot of shrapnel this year. I was semi-familiar with it. It's about what you think it does. What does shrapnel from a grenade do? It kind of explodes, right? Well, so does this. It looks kind of like an explosion. And I like this controlled chaos. It does another form of contrast to me, and it really just blows up the pattern. It's like GHI to the max. It does a lot of that very cool stuff. It's just a shame this one's in shed. You can really see its blue capped eyes right here, because this would pop even more. But the fact that it's in shed and still looks this dang good is really just a testament to how amazing this animal is. Out of shed, obviously you're gonna have a lot more vibrant colors, but you're gonna have, I feel like, a lot more rusty colors coming in on the back. A little bit more dark as well. It really is a great animal. It's a shame it's in shed, but the fact that it's in shed and it still looks this darn good, so amazing. At number 4 from Brad Boas would be the world's first Sunset Clown Pied. We have shown off the Sunset Pied in the past. This is so much more bright. It's so much more orange, and there's no pattern on the head. The clown has completely wiped that away. So it looks somewhat exotic in that regard. The difference between the Sunset Pied and the Sunset Clown Pied, it's really undeniable. And I think it's gonna serve this animal a lot in its future, obviously, as it grows. I think Sunset is very good when you get it with certain genes, and this is obviously a great combo. A triple recessive is a incredible accomplishment no matter what you get, even if it's already been done. That's difficult. Speaking of, this was a triple het to a triple het pairing. The odds on that are 1 out of 64, or 2%. It is an amazing accomplishment. It is so cool to see what it looks like. The fact that it kind of brightens it up. We've seen what the Desert Ghost Sunset looks like. Kind of want to see what it would look like in here. And again, we're talking now things that are very, very difficult to hit. But that's how it works with ball pythons. You succeed in hitting something, and then you just can't wait to see what else you can do. But what an amazing accomplishment. Again, the world's first clown sunset piebald. At number 3 from Tom Harbing Reptiles would be this pastel Enchi Monarch Clown. Talk about clean. Monarch kind of acts like Desert Ghost in a way. It really cleans animals up. Look at the pattern along the back. I love the purplish chocolatey browns that it brings in. It's kind of a little mixture of all of it. It's like a mahogany type purplish. This animal just killed it. Obviously the yellows on the side are really accentuated by the Enchi. It brings in a lot of these yellows and stuff like that, but the Monarch kind of has that as well, and it's really gonna stay like this for life. That is insane. Looking at it on this camera, this did a pretty good job of capturing those kind of purples bursting out of the sides, little diamonds here, and then the chain link barbed fence of it going down it. It's just so stunning. Monarch and Clown already are very good together, and I won't lie, before I saw this, not that I didn't appreciate the Enchi Monarchs that I've seen, but I thought maybe it took away from the pattern that I liked, because I actually like the opposite. I like the brownish purple mahogany. I thought that maybe, you know, the pattern reducing did it a little bit more of a disservice, but I've changed my mind when you see it like this. It's so good. I can't wait to see what else we can do with Monarch, and I'm so happy that I have a little bit in that story being in the Monarch project. If you're liking the video so far, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps to bring more content like this to you. At number 2 would be 2 snakes from Canova. Again, my list, my rules. That would be this red stripe yellow belly Hurricane Confusion Clown and this black pastel yellow belly Hypo Desert Ghost Clown. Triple recessive again. The first one, I just love this. Kind of shades of their first snake that we picked with the shrapnel, but it brings in actual magma and fire. The head pattern really does it for me. It's very busy. It's like it's got eyeshadow, so it accentuates those beautiful eyes that it has. And then again, just this very granulated, blown up kind of pattern. Look at this webbing on the animal near the back end of it. It's just so good. Confusion and Hurricane in the clown, it's controlled chaos. Again, it It is an absolutely beautiful animal. Moving on, just to contrast it, chaos controlled versus clean. It is almost like a light and dark side. You have one that is quite literally glowing here in the black pastel yellow belly hypo DG clown. Another animal that will probably stay very similar, if not exactly like this. It looks like it's just melting, like it's actually emanating light at us right now. You see the colors coming in, you can see some neon oranges on it, but yet it still has this really nice dark outline around it, and it contrasts it like it's shadowed. It almost looks 3D, and honestly its head almost looks like bluish or purple. Just absolutely gorgeous, and can't say this enough. The contrast, especially between these two snakes, are just so good. Look down its spine here. Hypo and DG obviously together with the clowns, you see the neon oranges just splashing through like a Miami sunset. Just beautiful. Before we get to number one, which was so unbelievably difficult to choose, but before we get there would be some honorable mentions. First up on our honorable mention from Brock Wagner Reptiles would be this Fire Spot Nose Yellow Belly Special Clown. And wow, there's so much contrast with this bright yellows, the magma oranges, and I love the granulation on the sides. Another example of bringing chaos with some clean pattern on the same animal though. Our next honorable mention from Richard Jones Reptiles would be this Super Orange Dream Vanilla Scrambler. Now, I wanted to call attention to this because of the scrambler. It really obviously works quite well with Orange Dream. Basically, I just want to call attention to that gene because it's kind of just coming out of there as something a little bit of a newer gene. This animal looks like it is obviously Super Orange Dream. Looks like it could have some Enchi in there, which Enchi and OD kind of similar in a way, but then it looks like it could have Calico in there as well as some black pastel of some sort. What I really like about animals like this is that obviously it's bringing in a lot of these features from Orange Dream and such. Like I said about how it kind of reminds me of how Calico brings up whites on the sides. It's a little bit cleaner than I'd say most Calicos would be, but then you have pattern jumping up ever so slightly from the sides too. It's something I need to research a little bit more myself, but I think that everyone should start looking into the Scrambler gene. Our next honorable mention from OTP Reptiles would be this Mojave Special Monsoon. Monsoon obviously does a lot. It is very powerful. I love all of the crazy chaos that it does with the pattern, and I'd love to see it with a lot of color morphs, but this one here was probably one of the more unique ones. Very ghostly in its appearance. The pattern has obviously not been completely washed out or anything like that, but it's been very lightened up, proving that you can easily influence the color of the Monsoon. So I'd love to see this with something like Monarch, honestly. I think that would be insane, getting all those rich colors in there, or lavender, or stuff like that. I think there's so much more you can do with this. And for our last honorable mention, this is actually more of a genetic call out. From NBK Reptiles would be the gorilla gene. In this aspect, it is the GHI gorilla and the blackhead gorilla. They are really dark snakes, so I get why they call them gorilla, because gorillas can be kind of dark. Look at how pitch black that is. I think I am more partial to the GHI just because I really like how chaotic GHI can be, but the blackhead one is more clean. Even though they're both dark snakes, they're both contrasting each other so well. I think that this gene has a lot of potential. I, for one, will be looking out for whenever it releases. I don't know how much that will be. I certainly hope I can afford it. They're just so dark, and I know that the GHI and the blackheads complement that. I would like to see it just the gorilla by itself, but that is not just the GHI, obviously. That is very dark, and that is not just a blackhead. They're far less dark than that, so gorilla might be one of the most dark genes in general, especially along that dorsal pattern that I've ever witnessed. I will for sure be following that gene. And finally, at number one, from Amos Reptiles would be the Cyborg. The Cyborg is the name that they are giving to the Orange Dream, Fire, Hurricane, GHI, Mystic, Exanthic clown that you see before you. And he is pretty certain about all those genes. Now that's a lot of genes, and usually when you throw a ton of genetics on top of each other, you don't get what you'd think. Often what happens is that you get a washed out animal, or an animal that there's no chance you ever know what's in it. Getting an animal to look this dang good with that many genes is a very difficult task. Nay, I say impossible in most cases. The Exanthic creates this black and white or gray grayish snake, but it's really got so much going on with it here. Like you can even see like this little dot on its head. Everything about it just really lends to that name, Cyborg. It is a very well-named animal. It was difficult to pick number one, but I chose this one because it is at least as cool as everything else on this list, but the idea that you can get something to look so unique and so good with that many genes when typically things are just washed out and kind of just a grayish animal or something like that, quite frankly, I don't know if it could ever be reproduced. Now they were kind enough to show us a picture of its sibling, and the sibling doesn't have Hurricane in it, and obviously it does not have Xanthic in it, but look at the contrast difference here. It's so insane. It has a beautiful amount of blushing of kind of a grayish white, like a gunmetal gray of some sorts. Absolutely beautiful, and that's not to take away from its sibling, who is also an absolutely beautiful animal, but the Xanthic really does push it over the edge. And of course, Hurricane is just so good with clowns in any case. I think the dot on its head, the perfect little circle there, is just so insane. It's a literal robot, like a Borg or something like that. It doesn't even look real. And that is why I had to choose it as my number one pick. What would you have picked? Was there any snakes that you think we missed? Sound off in the comments. I'm sure we didn't actually miss them, because on that, you can check out our complete and full walkthrough of the NARBC show this year right here. And you can check out our uncut footage right here.